Right, and you know, Andrew Card, who was part of the White House Iraq group as well, and the chief of staff at the time at the White House, told reporters that, well, we're waiting a little bit. You don't debut new products in August. You have to wait till after Labor Day.
Yeah, Andrew Card, who was then chief of staff, set up that council. Okay. So they started their campaign, their blitz, I think it was September 6th, I think, of 2002. And it was a propaganda campaign to convince Americans that Iraq, Saddam Hussein, posed a nuclear threat and that the threat would manifest itself in a mushroom-shaped cloud. You know. But the point is that, Cheney has to say things like, well, Mohammed el-Baradei, however you pronounce his name, who is the Director General of the IAEA, is just flat wrong when he says, it continues to say year after year, starting in 1997, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, and then in 2002, that there is no sign whatsoever that the Iraqis have made any attempt to reconstitute their uranium enrichment program, and of course they really didn't have a nuclear program. They never got around to even coming close. They made, what would you call it, gram quantities of weapons-grade material. And you need kilogram quantities of weapons-grade material to make even one nuke, you know?
Right.
All the reports make it very clear that their nuclear weapons program, they had one, but it was pretty much a Looney Tunes effort. And at the time the war broke out, in 92, late 91 and into 92, their entire uranium enrichment program was shut down because they were trying to figure out how in the world can we ever make kilogram quantities of this stuff when we're having so much trouble making gram quantities of it, you know.
Right, and now this is part of the lore about Dick Cheney, was that after the first Gulf War, they discovered that the Israeli attack on the Osiris reactor had driven the Iraqi nuclear program underground, and that the IAEA actually didn't understand how far along they were, which, as you say, wasn't all that far along, but the lore goes that Cheney decided then and there he would never trust the CIA's doubts again, and he would always assume that whatever they say isn't there must be.
That could be, I don't know. But again, once again, now that Scott McClellan is in all the news, his confirmation that, and he may even have attended some of the meetings of the White House Iraq group, I don't know. Media relation types did attend some of those meetings, but I don't know whether or not McClellan did or not. I haven't read his book in its entirety. But in any case, the principal thing that occurred yesterday and is going to continue for days now is that Scott McClellan is flat charging that there was a conscious effort to propagandize Americans and to give them false information, lies really, about the threat that Iraq posed to the average American citizen. And as everybody keeps saying over and over again, who hears what Scott has to say, what McClellan has to say, and Oberman said it 3 or 4 times last night, all the signs are they're doing exactly the same thing now with respect to Iran.
And now we'll conclude Scott McClellan's first primetime interview by looking ahead. All that is in the book, as I've already described it, a kind of a Rosetta Stone for the Bush administration. About Iraq, you wrote, but today, as I look back on the campaign we waged to sell the Iraq war to the American people, a campaign I participated in, though I didn't play a major role in shaping it, I see more clearly the downside of applying modern campaign tactics to matters of grave historical import. Reflecting on that period has helped crystallize my understanding of the permanent campaign with its destructive excesses and how Washington in its current state of partisan warfare functions on mutual deception. The picture isn't pretty. Scott, are they doing that now about Iran?
I certainly hope that that is not the case, but we don't know. I don't know. I mean, I should say it that way. But they're still in this permanent campaign mode. They haven't backed away from that. I can't speak specifically to what the intent is in some of the people's heads there. I think that our options are certainly limited with all our commitments right now. But I hope that when people look and read this book, that they will learn some of the lessons from Iraq, and that we won't make some of the same mistakes that we made elsewhere.
So knowing what you know, if Dana Perino gets up there and starts making noises that sound very similar to what you heard from the administration, from Ari Fleischer in 2002, from other actual members of the administration and the cabinet, you would be suspicious?
I would be. I would be. I think that you would need to take those comments very seriously and be skeptical.
Right. And that's really the important point, is that the lies leading us to war with Iran don't seem to really be any more credible. The difference, I think, the major difference, Gordon, is that Iran at least does have a nuclear program. They haven't been under blockade and sanctions and bombings for a dozen years straight like the Iraqis had been. And trust me, I know you're a nuclear physicist and you dream in electrons and stuff, but the rest of us, we don't understand these things. And when we hear nuclear program, as far as we know, if you have a nuclear program, you can make a nuclear bomb. We don't know the difference a lot of the time between what this capability means and what that capability means. And that's really the story that, especially in your last article for AntiwarRadio.com, for example, you really get into what it would take for the Iranians to make a bomb compared to what it is, best information that we have, what it is that they actually possess by way of a nuclear program, and how unlikely it is that they can make a bomb, especially in the presence of the IAEA inspectors, right?
Right. Now, in addition to the McClellan revelations, Scott McClellan, press secretary revelations, we have had quite a bit of press coverage, or not, almost no press coverage, but at least at Anti-War and a few other places on the websites, we've been appalled at the way in which these retired military generals were essentially assembled into a cheerleading squad in the Pentagon and given talking points and then sent out to the networks. And these guys, some of them were triple dipping. They were, first of all, they're getting their retirement pay, which is, for a 3- or 4-star general, is not trivial, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, frequently they were on the board of directors, or they had consulting arrangement with defense contractors. Almost every general I've known who was a 3- or 4-star general who retired expected it as his right to get a relatively high-paying job on some defense contractor. But, of course, the unwritten rule was that if he didn't get them contracts after, say, 3 years, he was not on the board anymore. So it was his job, even though he was getting retirement pay and he was on their board of directors or a consultant to them, his job was to get them defense contracts. But so that's the second pay. But then some of these guys were even paid by the network. They were on retainers to some of these networks. And so here they were getting paid triple.
Yeah, making a killing off all that killing.
That's catchy.
You like that?
Well, at any rate, okay. I lost my train of thought.
Well, the point is that they're lying us into war again, Gordon.
Media hype has been, until Scott McClellan took over with his revelations, has been the media, particularly George John, Jahn, of Associated Press, but then there's 3 or 4 other people by name who work for Reuters or for the New York Times or for Washington Post, and I won't go down all their names, but each of them, all of them, basically reported the same thing, if you want to put it that way, that there was this confidential report that Mohammed al-Baradei had just submitted to the IAEA and to the Security Council, which was very critical of Iran.
Now, Gordon, I have the New York Times article here. It says, Atomic Monitor signals concern over Iran's work. I think that's one of the tamer headlines about this new report that's come out. What's so shocking about it, then?
Well, the report basically has 3 things, which I'm looking at it right now. I didn't have it before, but I've now, thanks to a colleague, I've got it.
And it is on the Carnegie Endowment website.
Okay. I don't know how they got it, because it's a confidential report that ought not to have been circulated. But we're now in a position to compare what these news outlets have said about this confidential report on condition of anonymity, because the people who told us all this stuff had sworn on a stack of Bibles that they would never tell anybody what was in here. And so that's why we're not telling you who they are, because they've done this terrible thing.